Let us continue our quest of Bosis. We're getting closer and closer to some of the main shailas. Be'ezar Hashem. Donan, you writing down? Okay, Kavaldik. Now, let's move on, Rabbi Isai. Okay, so I want to discuss a couple of things that I think are important before we get to the main sugya today. Okay, so let's do like this. Okay, so we'll start like this. Number one, something we will miramis to, but something which I want to mention very clearly, and that is the item. Thank you very much. That's beautiful. Baruch Hashem. Okay, at least they know there's someone standing behind the camera. So, let me say like this. The item that's holding up the Muktza, the Hainu, the Bosis, has the din of the Muktza. Okay? That means that if the table or chair or whatever it is holding up a kli shemalachto le'issa, like a pencil or a pen or something similar, or a screwdriver or a pair of scissors, all of these things which are a kli shemalachto le'issa, so then the Bosis can't be worse than that. Which means that the table or the chair that's holding it is a Bosis of a din of a kli shemalachto le'issa. It can't be worse than the Muktza itself, which means if I'm allowed to move the Muktza, the tzayich, Gufay and Mekaimai, so I'll be allowed to move the Bosis, the tzayich Gufay Mekaimai. Okay? That's a pretty simple one. I wanted to just make that very, very clear. Let's move on. Okay? Now here's a very interesting one. Okay? We're getting into very fine details over here. So in order for something that Muktza is resting on to turn into a Bosis is only if the bottom one, the Hainu, the table, the chair, the stool, the stender, the bed, the pillow, whatever, is serving the upper Muktza. Okay, are you with me? And the only way that the item that's holding the Muktza will become a Bosis if it's being mishamish the Muktza, if it's serving the Muktza. Are you with me? You understand what I mean? I'll give you an example. Let's say you put a stone onto some pieces of paper, right, to hold down your notes. Put a stone down. Is the paper going to become Bosis because you have a stone on top of it? The answer is no. Why not? Because the papers are not holding up the stone. I put the stone to hold down the papers. If I can't, the stone is being mishamish the papers. In the regular Bosis, the table is holding up the Muktza, the chair is holding up the Muktza, the pillar is holding up the Muktza. Over here, Rabbi, are you with me? Over here, the Muktza is serving the other thing. Normally, the heta is serving the issa. Here, the issa is serving the heta. Have I lost everyone? Jed, Posha, right? It makes sense, no? The whole Yisai, the lomdus, Rabbi say, of Bosis is the heta is toffel to the issa. Mimela becomes like the issa. But over here, how could you say that the papers, which are, I've got some sheer papers, and I take a stone to hold it down so I can learn them without them flying away. How could you say that the papers become toffel? Forget, those are the ikka. The stone is agav the toffel, I'm just putting it on top. Right? The makar, by the way, is a Gemara in Shabbos Mem Test that talks about the inyan of putting a stone on top of a barrel. But Al Kaponim, that's where it comes from, and that's what it is. Okay, that's why that is a very important nekuda that I wanted to mention. That if you have the heta is not being mishamish the issa is being mishamish the heta, so that's already a different situation. Let's move on, Rabbi Yisrael. By the way, let me ask the Mishayla, is there shayach Bosis from the top? Faket. Bosis normally means that it holds up the Muktza. Can I have a Bosis from the top?
Yeah. Same idea.
What does that mean?
Same thing.
Same thing?
What case or what type of case?
What?
What type of case?
I'll give you the case. I'll give you an example of a case. What if you have in Eretz Yisrael, you've got the lines of the laundry, and you've got the pegs that hold up the laundry. Wet laundry that's going to remain wet the whole Shabbos is Muktza. We spoke about that. 100% Muktza. Are the pegs going to be Bosis? Let's say the laundry, falls off. Let's say just it falls down. So can I take the peg off, or is the peg Muktza because it was holding up something that was Muktza? It's working a different way. Hello?
Probably Muktza.
It's the toffel.
It's the toffel? I mean the Gavaldik Shimon, the lomdus is the same. You can see what you're learning every single day during morning Seder. Gavaldik, those Biscarovs are helping out a bissel now. Moedik, Gavaldik. So the lomdus, says Shimon, is that it's toffel. No, so the clips are toffel to the Muktza. Who cares if it's on the bottom or the top? Maskim? Beautiful, let's go weiter. That's Gavaldik. Unbelievable. Beautiful. Let's move on. Okay. Now, what happens if a Muktza item was placed onto something on Shabbos? What's the din? Okay, let's say a guy comes into your house and takes something, takes your computer, I don't know what, and puts it on the table. Does the table become Bosis now? Does the table become Bosis? Or because it wasn't there when Shabbos came in, which is generally the Tanai of Bosis, will we say that it will not become Bosis? Nafkamina, my Nafkamina, by the way. What's the Nafkamina Shav? You can shake it off. If it was a Bosis, you can't even shake it off. If it was not a Bosis, you can just shake it off and just make sure it falls lightly. It's not a Bosis, why? Okay. So all of you are arguing with Heilige Tosfos. Tosfos says clearly in the Memdalad Aleph in Shabbos that it does become a Bosis. The Bala Ma'or says like you, that it does not make it into a Bosis. Who's the Bala Ma'or? Oh yeah? When is the outside?
I don't know, I'll tell you.
Okay.
What's his name?
Spasemes. We'll talk about stories afterwards. Anyway, so the Lemaisa, Alocha Lemaisa, in this case, the Be'alocha discusses this in Simon Shin Yud Siv Zayin, Alocha Lemaisa, the Mishabur seems to be Mekel, that if it was not on the item Bein HaShmoshes, it will not become Muktza. Now, Sameh, are you with me? Okay, Gavaldik. Now, listen carefully, Rabbi Isai. Now, what I want to discuss over here is like this, a very, very big Yesod. The Yesod is like this. This is going to begin our Yesod of the candlestick tray. So listen carefully, because it's very, very important to get this clear. What is the din? And this is one of the most famous questions in Ilchos Bosis. Yitzi, are you with me? Yes. Are you sure? Because I'm going to ask you a question in a minute. What is the din? If you have an item that is holding up not only an Issa, but also an Heta. So I have a table that is holding not only a laptop, but it's also holding a Siddur. Does it become a Bosis? Now, Rabbi said, let's go to a moment for the Lomdus, right? Because everything's about the Lomdus. Because Shimon's into the Lomdus. He wants to know, is the Lomdus still there? Does it become Tovel? Does it not become Tovel? What do you say, Shimon? Yitzi, what do you say?
Doesn't.
Daniel says it does not. Why not?
Just like that.
It only has to be... Okay, so listen to this, Rabbi say. This is very important. Nasameya, you cannot get married without knowing this halacha.
What?
Okay? No, you have to know this halacha before you get married. Okay, if you get married during this halacha, I feel bad for you. I always because then your wife knows that. Because then your wife knows not only did she marry an Amorah, she also married a Machal Shabbos. And that's pretty sad. Okay? That's pretty sad. Especially as you went to yeshiva. Like many yeshiva brachim go to yeshiva. Anyway, let's stop right there. So, as they say, don't get me started. So, Lamaisa, we have to start with the Makar. There's a Gemara in Shabbos Mem Zayin Amud Aleph. Rabbi said, listen to this and remember this for the rest of your lives. I have spoken to I got in trouble once about this. I wrote an article for a newspaper and I spoke about this halacha, and a guy comes over to me and says to me, what are you talking about? Where'd you get this from? It reminds me of the one I read on Hanukkah when I read about, do you have to wash over, the headline was, do you have to wash for donut? The guy comes to me, where are you this hummus from? I said, from the Tzvah Saruv. From the Tzvah Saruv? Where's the Tzvah Saruv? The Heilige Shulchan Aruch. Ah, yeah? Really? All of a sudden you say a name, like you say, Rav Elyashiv says also, wow. Shulchan Aruch says also, oh, no, figure that out, Put names to everything, all of a sudden people get excited. Rabbi said, this is halacha that people don't know. You guys are zoicha to be here right now and know this. What is the din? Says the Gemara in Shabbos. The Gemara in Shabbos Mem Zayin. Rabbi Yochanan was talking about carrying a kenuna agav kitma. Laibi, what's that? Kenuna agav kitma.
My grandmother watches you.
Yitzi. Morty. Shabbos Mem Daled. Says the Gemara, it's a type of shovel and it's got ashes, kitma. It's got ashes in it. Says the Gemara, how is he carrying it? Slicha, there's wood. Wood is Muktza. What's going on? Says the Gemara, when you have an item of Muktza together with Heta, if you cannot shake off the Heta, then you're allowed to move the Isser also, even though there's a Bosis. So Yitzi, what does that mean? That means to us the Makor like this, and we're going to have to define this. When you have something holding up an Issa, and it's also holding up a Heta, we'll give the exact conditions in a moment, then it will not become a Bosis, which means, I have to shake it off obviously first, but it won't become a Bosis. That once I've shaken it off, the item's going to be okay. Now, question number one, Rabbi Say. Very good question, excellent question. Question number one, if you take away the Siddur, Levi Yitzchak, that's question number one. The Zweite Kasha, are you allowed to open up a drawer? For example, this drawer, not Sameya. This drawer has in it a siddur, right? It happens to be Nusach Sfard, by the way. This is a Nusach Sfard siddur, so it's not a bissel besser, yo. And you also has tea bags.
We're starting with a Haiti meal.
Right? Okay? Tea bags. And it also has, I'm not sure why you keep this in your drawer, has some screws just in case you get bored. Okay? Oh, you give stock on this? Shkoyach. Okay. So it has the screws. Are you allowed to open that drawer to get the Sfard Siddur on Shabbos?
No, because it's...
Well then, you're going to have big problems of davening then. We're not going to be able to daven over here then.
No, that's good. It's okay.
No, that's what I said. We're not going to be able to daven. Are you allowed to open up that drawer?
Yes, you're allowed.
You're allowed to open up the drawer? Why?
First of all, there's a whole bunch of us Siddurim. It's not a big deal.
Okay, you're right. We have plenty of Sfard Siddurim. Okay. Sorich Mekoyim, that's just a cliche. If it's a boss, it ain't going to help you.
It's not, I mean, not all five.
I give up.
Okay. Right, but I have screws which are Muktza machmas gufay. Stuck. Okay. Tea bags also, according to those that hold us also, tea bags are going to be Muktza machmas gufay because you can't use them. Anyway. Hi, Rabbi Sa, the Olim are very, very excited today. I see the Olim are excited. Okay, so. Okay, the sweaters came. Baruch Hashem.
Shout out to the sweaters.
Shout out to the sweaters. Anybody that wants to donate to the sweaters can donate to the sweaters as well. Baruch Hashem. Okay, fine. Okay, Rabbi Sa comes along the Heilige Torah, and the Torah defines this halacha and says there's a condition. When do we say that a bosis ladova isa and a bosis ladova heta is not a bosis? If the heta is more choshev than the isa. Now, this is going to be a big problem. Let's say, for example, Levi Yitzchak, I have a drawer with $1,000 cash. $1,000 cash. I bet some money to yeshiva. In the same drawer, I have a pair of glasses that cost 60 shekel. Okay? Can I open up the drawer? And again, the Torah said that the whole yesod of a Muktza, a Bosis le'issa and a Bosis le'heta, that makes it mutter if the heta is more chashuv than the issa, is it a din chashivas als value, or is it what I need more? That's really... Okay, what am I say? Behind the set, can everybody please calm down? Everybody please, this issue is amazing, that is true. Now, let's move on to Rabbi Say, okay? Let's give a clarification. Let's give a clarification. What does it mean, choshev? What does it mean that the heta is more choshev than the issa? How does it work for something to be more choshev over here? Okay? So, lemaisa like this. You could say it's a value in money, that whatever is more valuable would win, and as is mashma from the Vilna Goyim, right? You're davening with the siddur. Whatever is more valuable in money would win. So therefore, if the item that's heter is less valuable, that will not help you. The Mishnah Berurah, however, in Siman Reish Ayin Zayin Sekot Yud Ches, seems to say not that way, and he wants to say that even, for example, one example he brings is a loaf of bread. Now, a loaf of bread is not more choshev than anything else. But since it's needed more on Shabbos, that will make it choshev. And that's the ma'isa how many of the poskim go. I don't go with more choshev as value. I go with its tzorech. If this is more needed, then it's got a din that it's more choshev. So, for example, before we get to the candlestick tray, we'll get to that because that's where.
Close the drawer.
Can I close the drawer? Same shaila. Okay. Now, this is the question. If I have a table, and this table has candlesticks on it, right? You have a dining room table with candlesticks that were lit when Shabbos came in. I want to move the table after the candles go out, obviously. What was on this table on Erev Shabbos? Very, very important, Rabbi Say. These are shalos you're going to have every single week. I want to move the dining room table, the kitchen table, whatever it is. It had candlesticks that were lit when Shabbos came in. If the answer was there was nothing else on it, it became a bosis. You cannot move it even after the candles go out. The whole Shabbos, it becomes a bosis. But if when Shabbos came in, there was also a siddur, tehillim, a becha, or something similar to that, which is more choshev. Choshev meaning there's more of a tzorech, then it's mutar. Because it was a basis, the dova issa, and the dova heta, where the heta was more choshev, and therefore in the drawer, if the siddur, nusach sfad, is more choshev to me than the screws and the tea bags, then I'm allowed to open it. Because the drawer became a basis, dova issa, dova heta, the heta was more choshev, bang! It's going to be mutar.
Let's say you get rid of the heta.
When?
After Shabbos.
Then you have a problem. Oh, 1 second. You mean after Shabbos came in? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. We will talk about that. Right? It's very nagaya, by the way. Because if you got a challah, when Shabbos came in, you're going to eat that challah, right? Friday night. So obviously it's going to be okay because it was there ben hashmoshes. So if this drawer, again, going back to our famous drawer over here, okay? It has a siddur, it has the screws. I've got Muktza machmas screw in there, I've got a siddur. I need the siddur. The siddur is more valuable to me, not in money. Or the glasses of 60 shekel are more valuable to me. Again, not because of money. Then it becomes a heta or an issa. But what does that mean? That means really I have to shake it off. That's the din. Right? Now, by the way, let me just give you a couple of details because, again, we're leading to our main shaila about the candlestick tray. That's what we're leading to. Obviously, we'll get to that tomorrow because it's a sugi b'fnei atzmoi. Okay? Now, the levush in Shin Lamed Daled brings down the shaila that talking about in Shin Lamed Daled talks about the halachas of saving kisvei kodesh from a fire, from a dleika. So the levush brings down that svarim that always have to be saved, and it's mashma from there that all sifrei kodesh are always more choshev than muktza. Right, that's the lashon of the levush. Is that sifrei kodesh? It doesn't make a difference what it is. Any sefer, any tehillim, any siddur is automatically more chashuv. Reb Shlomo Zalman, by the way, was cholik, and he held no, only a sefer or a siddur that you're actually going to use or that you need. Then in a chanami, if you need it on that Shabbat, for example, if it's a sefer vayikra and we're up to shemois, then Reb Shlomo Zalman would not allow you to use that sefer as a heta, which will be more chashuv as the issa, and therefore would not turn it into a bosis in that case. Agav, by the way, it's very interesting, by the way, which I'm not going to go into now, but something to think about, right? With Scheinberg, my Rebbe, you always used to say that before you close the Gemara, think of a question, something to think about when you're munching the schnitzel, right? It's something to think about something. So think about the Shai. The Be'alacha asked the Kasha, how can you say that a challah is more choshev than the candles? I need the candles ben hashmoshes because I lit them for a reason. Why do you like candles? The din of Adlakas Hanei Shabbos. I like Shabbos. Shalom Bayis, Shalom Beisa. Very good, beautiful. Right? Shalom Yikoshel, the Gemara says, right? Rashi explains, you see better, you don't bang into people, whatever. So I need the candle more. How could you tell me the challah is more chashuv?
You don't need them on the table.
That's not what? The candles?
Yeah.
Where are you going to put them?
On the side.
But then you're not going to get hanof, and then you put with the Ramov to Sefer Sanah, which according to Ramah is going to be problematic. Huh?
You don't put your candles on the table.
In a chami, if you've got no space, then you should not. But if you have space, for example, when you get newly married, you're going to put it on the table, right? Be'ezus Hashem, because you want to put them on the table. Okay, so that's a shaila, just something to think about in that case over there. Now, it's also very, very important that the heta was placed on the bosis. Okay, not that it was forgotten there. Some will make it if it was forgotten there. But if it was placed there, if the siddur was specifically put there so that it should be a bosis, le'issa, or leheta in that case, and if you forget to put the heta on it, it becomes a bosis, le'issa, and there is no heta. Now, Rabbi Say, we've given a lot of details, but our main kavanah is to get to tomorrow's sugya. Tomorrow's sugya, Be'ezah Hashem, is going to be discussing one of the most important halachas in Bosis and in Muktza, and it's talking about the candlestick tray, that if you have a het, you have a Bosis, that's a Bosis le'issa, leheta, what din doesn't have. Join us tomorrow, Be'ezah Hashem.